So as a bit of revision, let's draw out a G major scale. So we want a G major scale. So the fact that it's called G major gives us a couple of clues. The first clue is that it's obviously going to start on a G, so let's put in a G there. And the second clue is that it's got major there, which shows it's going to use the major pattern of tones and semitones, which goes, if I remember rightly, goes tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, and those are the 7 steps that make up the major scale. So hopefully very quickly I can just draw these in. So the first step is a tone, gives us an A, and then another tone gives us a B. Then we're just looking for one small step, a semitone, which gets us to the C, then another tone, and another tone, which means we're going to miss out this white note F and go up to the F sharp here, and then one small step to finish off the scale. And we're back on G. So that was pretty straightforward, and I can play that so that you know it's definitely true. These are the notes of the G major scale. So now we have our scale running from G to G, and don't forget we can keep going, we can carry on with the scale and keep going into another octave. So if we wanted to go higher and higher, we can keep using the same pattern of notes, it will just keep repeating. We're going to go off the end of our keyboard in a minute, but that just shows it carries on going. Now what I thought I would show you is a really good way to talk about the different steps in the scale. And the way we talk about these steps, or one of the ways that we can talk about them, is to talk about the scale degrees. So let's put this up here, scale degrees. Now it's totally easy to learn about scale degrees. All we're doing is counting through the different steps of the scale to show the different scale degrees. And in fact, I've already been doing this in a lot of the other lessons. I've been writing in the numbers underneath the piano to go through the different scales. And so let's have a go at that now. So the first note of our scale is always called 1. So that's scale degree number 1. And then we carry on through the numbers to show the different steps of the scale. So just carry on doing that. So the F sharp will be scale degree 7. And then we get back to a G again. Now, what's quite good with scale degrees is it helps us to sort of get the idea in our minds that what we've got here is a repeating pattern, and that we have the same 7 steps that keep coming back again and again as we go higher and higher in pitch. So instead of carrying on with numbers, I'm not going to write an 8 next to this G. I'm going to write a 1. I'm going to start the pattern off again. So it actually doesn't matter what octave we're playing in, whether we're playing in a very high octave or a very, very low octave. If we talk about the scale degrees, the different numbers of the scale degrees, we're always going to be talking about the same letter. So if I say, it doesn't matter what octave you're playing in, but find me scale degree 3, then you're going to play a B. It doesn't matter whether it's a high B or a low B. It could be this one here, or it could be this one up here, because both of these are scale degree 3. Now knowing these scale degrees is going to be really useful to us as we start to learn about some of the more complex ideas that come along with scales, including chords and the relationships between different scales that we sometimes use in music. So just as a quick test, please can you tell me what scale degree 2 of this G major scale is? Of course it's sitting right there, it's the A, and we would get a scale degree 2, whichever octave we're in, it's always going to be an A, so it's really easy to find. Now actually, we don't always use these numbers. Sometimes it's very convenient for us to say, well, let's just play scale degree 4 or scale degree 5, or we might be talking about a scale and trying to point out something interesting about it, saying, look at the big jump. For example, when we were looking at the harmonic minor scale, we noticed there was a really big jump between the 6th and 7th scale degrees. And so someone might say, you know, there's an interesting feature of this scale, and it's made up of the 6th and 7th degrees of the scale. However, there's other ways of talking about these different steps in the scales as well. Each of these different scale degrees has a special name. So I'll teach you the first one now, and then in the next video we'll have a look at all of the other different names. So the first scale degree is called the tonic. Let's put that in there. And so the tonic is always the first step. It's where we start with the scale. So if it's a C major scale, the tonic is going to be C. If it is an F sharp major scale, the tonic is going to be F sharp. If it was a B minor scale, the tonic is going to be B. So we always name the scales that we're using after this first scale degree, or the tonic of the scale. But every single scale degree has its own special name, and that's what we'll have a look at next.